Angela Davis could fix any military vehicle in half the time it took other mechanics. Her efficiency earned her commendations and the respect of every soldier at Fort Carson. But when investigators examined the timeline of her repairs versus enemy vehicle failures in combat zones, they discovered a pattern that defied coincidence. The investigation that followed would reveal one of the most sophisticated dual operations ever conducted from within a military motor pool. Angela Davis arrived at Fort Carson, Colorado in January 2012, carrying credentials that marked her as an exceptional automotive technician. Her background was impressive. Angela had grown up in Detroit, where her father owned an independent auto repair shop. She learned to work on engines before she could properly hold a wrench, developing an intuitive understanding of mechanical systems that formal training could never replicate. After high school, she attended community college for automotive technology while working nights at her father's shop. Angela enlisted in the Army at 22, specifically requesting assignment to vehicle maintenance. Her ASVAB scores qualified her for any technical specialty, but she was drawn to the motor pool environment where she could apply her mechanical skills to support combat operations. Basic training was followed by advanced individual training at Fort Lee, Virginia, where Angela's instructors quickly recognized her exceptional abilities. She completed the standard curriculum in record time and was selected for additional training in heavy equipment maintenance and armored vehicle systems. Which city in the world are you watching this video from today? Please subscribe and support us for more stories. Angela's first assignment was to Bravo Company's maintenance section, where she worked under Staff Sergeant Martinez, a 20-year veteran who had seen every possible mechanical problem. Martinez was initially skeptical of the young specialist's confidence, but Angela's performance quickly changed his opinion. Her diagnostic abilities were extraordinary. Angela could identify engine problems by sound alone, often pinpointing specific component failures before other mechanics had finished connecting their diagnostic equipment. She approached each repair methodically, but with an efficiency that consistently amazed her supervisors. Within 6 months, Angela had established herself as the motor pool's most capable mechanic. Soldiers began specifically requesting that their vehicles be assigned to Angela for maintenance, knowing that anything she worked on would run perfectly for months afterward. Her repair times were remarkable. Tasks that typically took a full day were completed by Angela in 3 or 4 hours, with results that consistently exceeded military standards. She never cut corners or used substandard parts, yet somehow managed to work faster than mechanics with twice her experience. Staff Sergeant Martinez began tracking Angela's productivity statistics, partly out of curiosity and partly to document her exceptional performance for future commendations. The numbers were impressive even by military standards, where efficiency was constantly emphasized. Angela's work habits were as distinctive as her results. She preferred to work during off-peak hours when the motor pool was less crowded, often volunteering for evening and weekend shifts. She claimed the quieter environment allowed her to concentrate better and work more efficiently. Her dedication impressed everyone who worked with her. Angela would arrive early, stay late, and frequently check on vehicles she had repaired to ensure they were performing properly. She maintained detailed personal records of every repair she completed, tracking parts usage, labor time, and follow-up performance. By 2013, Angela had been promoted to sergeant and given increased responsibility for complex repairs and training newer mechanics. Her reputation extended beyond Fort Carson, as other bases began requesting her temporary assignment for particularly challenging maintenance problems. The first unusual pattern became apparent in late 2013, though it took months for anyone to recognize its significance. Military intelligence analysts reviewing operational reports from Afghanistan noticed that enemy vehicle failures had increased substantially in areas where Fort Carson units were operating. Improvised explosive devices hidden in enemy trucks were detonating prematurely, killing their operators before reaching American targets. Enemy transport vehicles were breaking down during critical supply runs, stranding personnel and equipment in vulnerable positions. Command and control vehicles were experiencing mechanical failures during combat operations, disrupting enemy communications at crucial moments. Initially, these incidents were attributed to improved American intelligence gathering, or enhanced electronic warfare capabilities. The timing and frequency suggested coordinated disruption efforts, but no specific program could account for the pattern of failures. Meanwhile, Angela's reputation at Fort Carson continued growing. She had become the motor pool's unofficial problem solver, handling the most complex repairs and training assignments. Her work was so reliable that vehicles she maintained rarely required follow-up service, freeing up capacity for other maintenance needs. Staff Sergeant Martinez recommended Angela for promotion to Staff Sergeant in early 2014, citing her exceptional technical abilities and leadership potential. The recommendation was strongly supported by every officer who had worked with Angela's maintenance section. But the pattern that would eventually expose Angela's true activities was becoming more pronounced. Analysis of deployment data revealed that units supported by Angela's maintenance work experienced dramatically lower rates of vehicle-related casualties, while enemy forces in the same operational areas suffered increasingly frequent mechanical failures. The correlation was subtle enough to escape immediate notice, but persistent enough to eventually attract attention from military intelligence analysts who specialized in identifying unusual operational patterns. The breakthrough came in 2015 when a captured enemy mechanic provided information during interrogation that initially seemed impossible. The prisoner claimed that American agents were sabotaging enemy vehicles using techniques that left no obvious evidence of tampering. The sabotage methods described by the prisoner were sophisticated, requiring detailed knowledge of specific vehicle systems and access to replacement parts that would fail under precise conditions. The techniques would be virtually undetectable during normal inspection, but would cause catastrophic failures when vehicles were subjected to combat stress. Military intelligence began investigating whether American special operations units were conducting covert sabotage missions in enemy-controlled areas. The investigation initially focused on identifying which units might have the capability and opportunity to carry out such operations. But the analysis took an unexpected turn when investigators realized that the sabotage techniques described by the captured prisoner were consistent with certain types of maintenance procedures. Someone with advanced mechanical knowledge could potentially modify vehicles to fail at predetermined times or under specific conditions. The investigation shifted focus to examining whether enemy vehicle failures could be traced to compromised parts or sabotaged repair procedures. This line of inquiry eventually led investigators to compare enemy failure patterns with deployment schedules of American maintenance personnel. Angela's name first appeared in intelligence reports in late 2015, not as a suspect but as part of routine data collection about personnel who had access to vehicle systems that might be vulnerable to sabotage. Her exceptional maintenance record actually worked in her favor initially, as investigators assumed that highly skilled mechanics would be valuable assets to protect rather than potential security risks. The pattern recognition software used by military intelligence was designed to identify correlations between personnel movements and operational outcomes. When analysts expanded their search parameters to include maintenance personnel, Angela's assignments began showing strong correlation with reduced friendly casualties and increased enemy mechanical failures. The correlation was so strong that it initially appeared to be a data processing error. No single mechanic could possibly have the kind of operational impact suggested by the analysis. Further analysis revealed that Angela's maintenance techniques were significantly different from standard military procedures, though the differences were subtle enough to escape routine inspection. She used parts and repair methods that were technically compliant with regulations, but optimized in ways that weren't taught in formal training programs. More concerning was the discovery that Angela had requested and received access to technical specifications for foreign military vehicles, ostensibly to better understand equipment that American forces might encounter or capture in combat zones. Counterintelligence investigators began discreet surveillance of Angela's activities in early 20. What they observed initially appeared to confirm her reputation as an exceptionally dedicated and skilled mechanic who worked longer hours and maintained higher standards than her peers. But closer examination revealed subtle anomalies in Angela's work patterns. She frequently worked alone during off hours, which provided opportunities to perform tasks that wouldn't be visible to supervisors or colleagues. Her personal maintenance records were more detailed than required by regulations, suggesting she was tracking information beyond standard repair procedures. Most significantly, investigators discovered that Angela had been manufacturing custom parts using the motor pool's machine shop equipment. The parts she produced appeared to be standard replacement components, but metallurgical analysis revealed they were designed to fail under specific stress conditions that would typically occur during combat operations. The investigation reached a critical phase when counterintelligence obtained samples of parts that Angela had manufactured and installed in vehicles destined for overseas deployment. Laboratory analysis confirmed that the parts contained intentional design flaws that would cause mechanical failures under combat stress, but only after a predetermined period of normal operation. The sophistication of Angela's sabotage techniques was extraordinary. She had developed methods for creating time-delayed mechanical failures that would be virtually impossible to detect through normal inspection procedures. The failures were designed to occur during combat operations when they would have maximum impact on enemy effectiveness. Confronting Angela required careful planning to avoid compromising ongoing operations or alerting potential accomplices. The investigation had revealed that Angela was working alone, using her legitimate position and exceptional skills to conduct what amounted to a one-person sabotage campaign against enemy forces. The scope of Angela's activities was staggering. Over 4 years, she had modified hundreds of vehicle components that eventually found their way to enemy forces through captured equipment, black market sales, or direct battlefield acquisition. Her sabotage work had contributed to dozens of enemy vehicle failures that had saved American lives and disrupted enemy operations. But Angela's methods also raised serious legal and ethical questions. She had been conducting unauthorized military operations using her position as a mechanic to access equipment and materials. Her activities, while arguably beneficial to American interests, violated numerous regulations and potentially compromised security procedures. The final confrontation took place in March 2016, when military investigators presented Angela with evidence of her sabotage activities. Her response surprised everyone involved in the investigation. Her motivation was straightforward. Angela had lost her younger brother in a vehicle-borne improvised explosive device attack in Afghanistan in The attack had been carried out using a modified civilian truck that enemy forces had converted into a mobile bomb. Angela's sabotage activities were her way of preventing similar attacks by ensuring that enemy vehicles would fail before they could be used against American forces. The investigation revealed that Angela had developed her sabotage techniques through careful study of enemy vehicle modification methods and extensive experimentation with component failure modes. She had essentially reverse-engineered enemy improvisation techniques to create counter-sabotage methods that would protect American personnel. Military justice officials faced an unprecedented situation. Angela had violated numerous regulations and conducted unauthorized operations, but her activities had arguably saved American lives and significantly disrupted enemy capabilities. Her sabotage work had been more effective than many official counter-improvised explosive device programs. The case was resolved through a complex negotiation that recognized both Angela's violations and her contributions. She accepted a discharge under other than honorable conditions in exchange for cooperation with intelligence officials and agreement to discontinue her unauthorized activities. Angela Davis left Fort Carson in June 2016, officially ending her military career. But her impact on enemy vehicle reliability continued for months afterward, as sabotaged components she had created continued failing in combat zones throughout Afghanistan and Iraq. The motor pool at Fort Carson returned to normal operations after Angela's departure, though her exceptional maintenance standards were never replicated. New security procedures were implemented to prevent similar unauthorized activities, and additional oversight was added to parts manufacturing and vehicle modification processes. But somewhere in the mountains of Afghanistan and the deserts of Iraq, enemy forces continued experiencing mysterious mechanical failures in vehicles that had been perfectly functional until the moment they were needed most. The mechanic who could fix anything had indeed fixed the most important problem of all, keeping American soldiers alive by ensuring that enemy vehicles failed when it mattered most.